Drive everything, drop it. Come on. Don't take your video. Get going away.
There's nothing in my life that would be. I don't know. I mean, I can't figure that. I once rode a plane into the ocean in Northern California when I was 21 years old, and as a passenger, it was a military plane, but I was a passenger, and that was a little story that was kind of hectic.
What Clint Eastwood didn't know at the time was that this moment would change his career forever. In October 1951, a US Army plane disappeared into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Northern California. The radio had failed, the oxygen was gone, the fuel was nearly exhausted. When the aircraft finally went down, one of the men on board found himself fighting freezing water and powerful currents just to stay alive. He was 21 years old. What he didn't know was that he had landed in one of the most active great white shark habitats on the west coast.
Because for a 21-year-old, you think this is my ending, this is my demise, and I'm just now turning 21.
Years later, when someone told him that fact, he laughed and said, "I'm glad I didn't know. Because if he had, he thought he might have given up." The young man who swam out of that ocean was named Clint Eastwood, and if he hadn't made it to shore that day, Hollywood would have lost one of the most influential actors and filmmakers in its history. This is what happened to Clint Eastwood. Long before he became a legend, Clint Eastwood was a kid nobody expected much from. He grew up during the Great Depression, moving constantly as his father searched for work. He wasn't considered exceptional. He struggled in school. He wasn't the obvious future movie star. After graduation, he bounced between jobs, trying to figure out what his life was supposed to become. Then came the army. Then came the plane crash. Then came a realization. Life was short, much shorter than he had assumed. And if he was ever going to take a chance on something bigger, he needed to do it now. So he moved to Los Angeles. At first, Hollywood wasn't interested. A studio gave him a contract, then dropped him. One executive reportedly complained that he talked too slowly.
Well, not in these films, no. In these films, the character in Fistful is the epitome of anti-heroism.
It's almost impossible not to laugh at that now, because years later, Clint Eastwood would become famous for doing exactly what those executives thought was a weakness, saying less. While everyone else talked, Clint watched. While everyone else performed, Clint simply existed, and audiences couldn't look away. But before that happened, he spent years struggling. Television appearances. Enough success to keep hope alive. Not enough to change his life. Then everything changed, because of a decision almost everyone told him not to make. An Italian director named Sergio Leone offered him the lead role in a low-budget western being filmed overseas. His agent hated the idea. Hollywood wasn't taking these movies seriously. He got on a plane and left. The result was a fistful of dollars. Then for a few dollars more. Then the good, the bad, and the ugly. By the time the trilogy reached American audiences, Clint Eastwood wasn't just famous. He was something new. The man with no names. A character who barely spoke, barely moved, yet somehow dominated every scene he entered. The same man once criticized for talking too slowly had become one of the biggest stars on Earth. Then came Dirty Harry, and with it another iconic character. Most actors spend their entire careers hopping to create one role people never forget. Clint Eastwood created two. But what makes his story remarkable isn't fame. Hollywood is full of famous people. What makes his story remarkable is longevity. Clint Eastwood kept evolving. When audiences expected another action movie, he became a director. When critics doubted him, he made Unforgiven. The film won Best Picture. He won Best Director.
I've been around for 39 years, and I've really enjoyed it. I've been very lucky.
He was 62 years old. Most careers are ending at 62. His was entering a new chapter. Then came $1 Million Baby, another Best Picture. At 74 years old. Again, he wasn't following the rules. He was breaking them. By this point, Clint Eastwood had already achieved more than most filmmakers dream of. But he kept working. Gran Torino, American Sniper, The Mule, and then in his 90s, he was still directing major films while people half his age were retiring. Think about that for a second. The man who nearly died in the Pacific Ocean in 1951 was still showing up to work more than 70 years later, still learning, still creating, still moving forward. His life wasn't perfect. Far from it. His relationships were often messy. Some of the people closest to him were deeply hurt by his choices. That part of the story matters too, because Clint Eastwood was never a superhero. He was a human being, flawed, complicated, sometimes admirable, sometimes difficult, but always impossible to ignore. So what happened to Clint Eastwood? A plane crash, failure, rejection, criticism, and age happened. And somehow none of it stopped him. The Pacific Ocean couldn't stop him. Hollywood couldn't stop him. Time itself couldn't stop him. Because the defining trait of Clint Eastwood was never talent. It was endurance. At an age when most people are remembered for what they used to do, Clint Eastwood is still remembered for what he's doing right now. And maybe that's the real story. Not that he became a legend, but that he refused to stop becoming one. Subscribe for more interesting stories.